Hello everybody, I'm back with the monthly horoscope again for the month of September. So for those who are watching one of my videos for the first time, I do monthly horoscopes, I do all the important transits, as well as I do a lot of videos for those that are learning astrology. Currently I'm doing a series on the nakshatras. Nakshatras are lunar mansions, or they are further divisions of the zodiac. So they are as important, those videos are as important as your zodiac sign is. So I'm doing a series on that. I'm somewhere midway in that series. Along with that, I try and cover a lot of important topics, interesting topics that you will enjoy if you're learning astrology, such as I just did a video on relationship compatibility, so you can check out my other videos. You can check out the playlists. I'll give the links below in the description, and also remember to subscribe, and along with that you got to tap the bell icon. Only then will you receive any kind of a notification. So let's talk about September. September is going to be a very interesting month. A lot is happening in September. A lot of transits, planets changing their zodiacs, going direct, going retrograde. So it's going to be an important as well as an interesting month. But some of the transits will give their impact over a period of time, over a period of a year and a half. So first let me discuss the important movements, important changes of planets that we will be seeing this month. First of all, Mercury is going to be entering its sign of exaltation almost for the entire month. Mercury is going to be in Virgo in its sign of exaltation. Sun will be in Leo in its own sign for the first 15 days, and then Sun will be joining Mercury in Virgo. Venus is in the sign of Cancer, and Venus will be in the sign of Cancer for almost the entire month. Saturn is still in Capricorn. It's retrograde. It will stay as such. Mars is in Aries, very, very strong. But on the 10th, Mars will go into its retrograde motion, and I've already made a video on Mars being in Aries. I've given the dates there. Let me share the link of the video with you. I will share it here. You guys can click on this and watch that video as well. But Mars is going to go into retrogression now, so I will be making a separate video on Mars in retrogression. From the 10th onwards, Mars is going to be retrograde. From the 13th, Jupiter goes direct. So this is a very, very important transit again. Jupiter going direct, Mars will be retrograde. And on the 23rd, Rahu and Ketu will be changing their zodiacs. So Rahu will be entering Taurus and Ketu will be entering Scorpio, which is again a very important transit. Like, that is one of the most important transits in this next 1 month, but the impact of that transit will be felt over a period of a year and a half. So it's not a short transit, and these lower planets give the result but stretched over a period of time. The faster planets tend to give the results very quickly, and so we may not feel the immediate impact of the Rahu Ketu movement, change of zodiacs, but I will be doing a separate video on that as well. So lot of movement, Rahu Ketu changing, Jupiter going direct, Mars going retrograde, Mercury going towards its exaltation, and Sun also joining Venus in Cancer, but Venus being aspected by two malefics here. Venus is going to be aspected by both Mars and Saturn for almost the entire month. Venus is in Cancer is a very vulnerable Venus, sensitive, emotional Venus. Venus is a watery planet in the sign of emotions, so very nurturing this Venus is. So you may feel very nurturing, very caring in your relationships, and but you may also feel vulnerable, impressionable. You may feel because of this affliction of Mars and Saturn, there could be a feeling of rejection, of dejection, and there could be outbursts related to relationships, emotions. There could be outbursts, and there could be also the Cancer effect. You know what the crab does? The crab just goes back into its shell. So where relationships are concerned, we could see certain emotional disturbances, a feeling of vulnerability, and then a lot of confidence you will require. That your partner gives you a lot of confidence, shows a lot of confidence in the relationship, in you, stands by you, supports you. Only then will this nurturing Venus be able to show its very nurturing qualities. Otherwise, the vulnerability that Venus has in the sign of Cancer is already impacted by 2 malefics. So heated arguments, outbursts, and even going back into your shell is something that will happen with most of us. Depends on what kind of a relationship you are in. If it's a more steady relationship, it's a very old relationship, you're married, you've been married for the last 10, 15 years, 20, 30 years, then you may not feel that emotional instability too much. But if it's a budding relationship, if it's a new relationship, and if you're a young impressionable mind, then this may tend to disturb you a little more. But we will also see the houses Venus rules, and that too will be impacted. Then there's one other very important thing happening this month in the zodiac. Mercury is going to go into its sign of exaltation. So Mercury and Sun, both in Virgo, is going to make us very finicky, very particular, very analytical, somebody who would like to go into detail of everything, somebody it's going to make us want to perfect everything. So where Sun in Leo is a more laid back, more relaxed kind of an energy, in Virgo with Mercury, this is going to be a very, very work oriented energy. So you're going to be feeling very work oriented, very focused, especially after the 15th, and sometimes even a little critical about yourselves, depending of course on the lagna, the ascendant and all. But generally, where work is concerned, where communication is concerned, where your ideas are concerned, you're going to feel you want to excel, you want to perfect. You may feel impatient, depending again on the ascendant, on the aspects of the ascendant is getting. But generally, this is a very, very active month. Mental activity is seen, a lot of communication, a lot of mental activity, a lot of ideas happening. But on the 10th, Mars goes retrograde. Mars is our energy, our action, our ability to implement ideas. And what happens when Mars goes retrograde? When Mars goes retrograde, we tend to hesitate, Before putting your ideas into action, before implementing something, you will hesitate. So that is probably what will make us, impatient. That is what may frustrate us. Because Mercury, Sun in the sign of perfection, in the natural 6th house of action, daily routine, is going to want to push us. So a lot of ideas may be coming in. But this retrogression of Mars may make us feel frustrated as well. So I'll be doing a separate video on Mars retrogression. But to give you an idea of what this month looks like. And then the other very important thing is that in the dual signs, see, Jupiter is going to go direct on the 13th in Sagittarius. In the sign of Virgo, we will have an exalted Mercury almost for the entire month. Sun will enter on the 15th, but before the 15th, Mercury alone is going to be exalted in the sign of Virgo. In the sign of Sagittarius, Jupiter now will be direct. Ketu is also going to be there. In the sign of Gemini, Rahu is going to be there, exalted. So Rahu exalted, Mercury exalted, Jupiter in its Multrikon, Ketu exalted. So the dual signs are so beautifully activated this month. So I'm going to introduce little bit another concept which many of you will be aware of, but many of you may not be aware of. So we normally see just the Vimshotri Dasha, but there are Rashi dashas as well. One is a Narayan dasha. So if you are running the Narayan dasha of one of the dual signs, and if you are also running an Antar dasha of a dual sign, suppose you are running a Mahadasha of the sign of Virgo and Antardasha of the sign of Sagittarius or Gemini or Pisces, because by Rashi Drishti these houses are aspecting each other and the planets all back in their own houses, exalted in Mool Trikon. So these 4 zodiacs are so beautifully activated. If you're running a Rashi Dasha related to these houses, and if there is a promise of fructification of certain yogas, then these few days are going to be extremely important for you. So see this from the Rashi Dasha, because these 4 Rashis are very beautifully activated. They are aspecting each other. The lords are back in the houses. The transit is going to be perfect, especially after the 13th onwards when Jupiter goes direct. So that is another very, very important thing I've noticed, in this month's transit. So these 4 zodiacs, depending, again, Rashi Dasha. Of course, from the Vimshotri Dasha also, with Jupiter going direct, if you're running a Vimshotri Dasha of Jupiter, things will start moving ahead. That too is going to happen. I'll try and do a separate video for Jupiter going direct. But why I'm talking about Rashi Dasha? Because these 4 Rashis, these 4 zodiacs are so beautifully activated that anything related to these 4 zodiacs, because they support each other, they are in Kendra to each other. So any yoga happening here and promise of fructification of a yoga will happen during this 1 month. You got to see your own charts and see what it looks like. So now I'm going to be talking about, for all the zodiacs, what this month is going to look like. From Aries. For Aries, Mars, the ascendant lord, is in the ascendant and has gone retrograde. So hesitation will be there. From the 10th of this month, things will slow down for you. The 2nd lord and the 7th lord, Venus, is in the 4th house. So this is great. This is a great yoga for wealth. 2nd, 7th lord in the 4th house. But aspected by Mars as well as Saturn, 2 malefics afflicting it here. So where wealth is concerned, where family is concerned, where spouse is concerned, where peace of home is concerned, some disturbance can definitely be seen. Some frustration will be there, because Venus is also the lord of your spouse. It's also the lord of your family. It's also the lord of your wealth and business partnerships. Very sensitive, very emotional. I've already discussed what this Venus is like in Cancer, afflicted by 2 malefics. So there is where the issue is. Mercury and Sun in the 6th house are going to make you want to excel, do your best, new ideas, new skills. Anything related to competition, any litigation, conflict, you're going to feel very confident, but hesitation will still be there. 10th house is looking good, but Saturn is still retrograde. So things still a little slow. Now I'm going to be talking about Taurus. For Taurus, Venus is the ascendant lord and the 6th lord, in the 3rd house. So Venus here, the ascendant lord, afflicted by Saturn, afflicted by Mars, and the 6th lord. You may feel a little frustrated in your work. There could be certain health issues which may make you feel very vulnerable. You got to take care of your health. Travel plans could get disturbed. Travel may bother you. If you go, if you take some travel, you may have certain disturbances, certain hardships, certain hurdles. With your siblings, with your neighbors, there could be some sensitive issue that comes up, some disturbance there also, some conflict there also can be seen. You're going to be wanting to spend a lot of time educating yourself, spending time with your children, developing your hobbies. And you're going to expect, your expectations from your children are going to be much higher this month. And your children, especially if they're going to have some exams or something, the expectations are going to be much higher from them. You may be like a strict father this month. You may be very finicky, very, very, analytical about what they are doing, very analytical about your own creativity, very analytical about your own education if you're still educating yourself. There could be a lot of expenditure that you see this month. Some travel could also be there, certain expenditure. Maybe you've spent somewhere on certain bookings related to travel and the plans may go bad, but you may have already spent. So it's like some kind of a wastage could be happening, which could be frustrating you in some way. Now I'm going to be talking about Gemini. For Gemini, Venus is the 12th lord and the 5th lord, and Venus is in the 2nd house. So the 12th lord and the 5th lord in the 2nd house aspected by Saturn from the 8th house and Mars from the 11th house. So here the 5th lord, the 12th lord, some affliction by Mars from the house of gains, certain hesitation related to your long-term ambitions, which may cause some frustration or some vulnerability at home with the family, where wealth is concerned, where your future plans are concerned, where your children are concerned. So expenditure could be bothering you, some disturbance at home could be bothering you. It could be your children for who you got to make a lot of expenditure this month, that could be bothering you. But definitely some kind of disturbance in the second house where Venus is getting all this affliction. Then Sun and Mercury are going to be in the 4th house. Some travel can be seen from here, some something related to real estate or property can be seen from here. You could be having somebody visit you, or you could be traveling yourself somewhere. You could be spending more time at home because this is the ascendant lord in the 4th house. So more time at home you could be spending. The third lord is in the 4th house, somebody coming to visit you. So that kind of a situation can be seen. Jupiter is now direct in the 7th house. Things are looking better generally with your spouse, with relationships, with business partners. You'd want to implement your plans in business, maybe expand where business partnerships are concerned. But Mars in the 11th house retrograde is going to make you feel hesitant. So where your ambition is concerned, even though Jupiter is direct, you may want to expand, Mars is going to make you feel hesitant. So Mars is also aspecting this Venus here. So this entire thing is going to be like a frustrating factor for you. So little slowdown, some expenditure, more time at home, more time, spending some time with guests, somebody visiting you, some time at home, studying. So those are the themes for this month. Now I'm going to be talking about Cancer. So for Cancer, Venus is the 11th house and the 4th. Venus is the 11th lord and the 4th lord. And Venus is going to be in the 1st house, aspected by Saturn and aspected by Mars. So here you could be feeling some disturbance where your relationships are concerned, because the 4th house is home and this is in the 1st house. You could be feeling very vulnerable. You could be feeling very sensitive, especially if you are in a very new budding kind of a relationship. So little bit of disturbance can be seen in relationships for Cancer people. Little bit of disturbance can be seen at home and where your ambition is concerned, because of this malefic impact by both these malefic planets. Lots of hesitation in career. Mars has gone retrograde in the 10th house. Lots of hesitation is going to be there. Even though in your 3rd house you're going to have Mercury and Sun there. So teaching, learning, meeting, communicating, traveling, short distance travel, new initiatives. If you have anything to do with media, these things are going to be very enhanced this month for you. The 6th house is Jupiter. The 3rd house is Mercury and Sun here. So again, the dual signs activated for everybody. But here in the 3rd house, a lot of activity is seen. A lot of effort is seen. Your 2nd lord is in the 3rd house. Could be some expenditure. Could be some travel. And but lots of stalling, lots of hesitation. The 7th lord still retrograde. Any projects you want to move forward with, still there is a lot of stalling there as well because of Saturn's retrograde, and now Mars is retrogression in the 10th house. And here for Cancer, Venus is the 11th lord in the 1st house. 11th lord is not the best for health. Some health issues you may also feel. Both the malefics are impacting the ascendant with the 11th lord in the ascendant. So that also could be felt. Now I'm going to talk about Leo. For Leo, Venus is the 10th lord and the 3rd lord in the 12th house, aspected by malefics. Where your career is concerned, where your karma is concerned, where your work is concerned, you may feel a little frustrated. You may feel that your efforts are getting frustrated. Any initiative that you want to take, that is getting frustrated. Lots of ideas about wealth. Mercury and Sun are in the second house. Lots of ideas about how to generate money. New initiatives for generation of money will be there on your mind. But any initiatives that you take, anything related to professions that you do, may make you feel vulnerable, you may feel that you're going back into your shell, because whatever initiative you're taking, this Mars-Saturn affliction is frustrating that initiative, is putting in brakes, is giving you blockages everywhere. So some obstacles may be felt by you in your career. Also, you may feel more stuck up with your ideology, with your philosophy, and you may feel a little less open this month. Little less open, more communicative, more outspoken, less open to new ideas, less open to other people's opinion, but more about your own communication, more about expressing yourself, focused on increasing new ways of wealth, but frustrated about your efforts. Saturn is still retrograde in the 6th house. You may feel you're doing a lot of effort and you're not getting the result for it. Now I'm going to be talking about Virgo. For Virgo, here Venus is the 2nd lord and the 9th lord. So the 9th lord is in the 11th house, aspected by Mars and aspected by Saturn. And Venus is also the 2nd lord. So again, wealth, opportunity, your father and your family. This could be related to your father and your family. Some emotional disturbance you may feel related to your family, your wealth. Because this is in the 11th house, this could also be related to network circles. This could be like something at large happening, some big news that may disturb you. So some kind of disturbance, some kind of a vulnerability you may feel this month. This could also be related to family, since it's the 2nd lord. Venus is also the 2nd lord. But in the ascendant, you have Sun and Mercury. So lots of confidence, lots of communication. You will feel very social. You will want to interact, increase your social circle. Lots of expenditure on yourself as well. You will want to express yourself. But in the 5th house, Saturn is still retrograde. So where your expression is concerned, where asserting yourself is concerned, you still may feel there is some limitation. There is something stopping you. You still need to stop actually. With retrograde planets, it's time to stop and look back, reassess of what you have in mind, of what your plans are. The 5th house is also of planning. So whatever you're planning, you've still got to reassess. So even if the confidence level is very high, especially now with both Saturn and Mars retrograde, I would still suggest go a little slow. Confidence will be there. Some low feeling will be there because of Venus's affliction, but confidence will still be there with Sun and Mercury in the ascendant. Communication will be there, but where asserting yourself is concerned, asserting your own mind, there still you will feel some retrogression, still some slowdown where your interests and hobbies and creativity is concerned. So here, if you see, Saturn is in the 5th house, retrograde, aspecting the 9th lord, aspecting the second lord. So this is both the trines and the 2nd lord of wealth. So some kind of a yoga is forming. But because these planets are still retrograde, it's not a very, I won't say it's a very move ahead kind of a yoga. It's a kind of a slow down kind of a yoga. Now I'm going to be talking about Libra. So for Libra, Venus is the ascendant lord and the 8th lord. And Venus is in the 10th house. Here afflicted by Saturn and afflicted by Mars. So you will feel a slowdown. You will feel vulnerable related to your profession. Something related to your career, your profession is going to make you feel vulnerable. It's going to make you feel slowed down. Things have slowed down. Any kind of growth you were expecting, any kind of gains that you were expecting, because Venus is the 11th from the 10th house here. Venus is the 8th lord, which is the 11th from the 10th. Any gains that you were expecting related to your career, any growth, because Venus is the 1st lord as well. Everything is going to feel frustrated, a little frustrated, and a little slowed down as well. 12th house, you have Mercury and Sun. Some could have a possible visit to a hospital, some long distance travel, some communication you are expecting from somewhere, some documentation that you're expecting somewhere, because this is your 12th house and and your 6th house and your 3rd house. 3rd house, you have Jupiter now going direct. In the 12th house, you have Sun, Mercury. So here is some documentation, some communication, something that you're expecting, something like that may materialize for you. So here the dual signs are very nicely activated for you. So the 9th house, the 6th, the 12th and the 3rd, this is looking positive. But the Lagnesh in the 10th house, afflicted by malefics, something is going to dampen you down, something is going to just bother you a little bit, something is going to make you slow down a little bit. But since it's the Lagnesh afflicted by 2 malefics, I would also say you've got to take care of your health as well. Now I'm going to be talking about Scorpio. So for Scorpio, this is the 12th lord and the 7th lord. Venus is the 12th and the 7th lord, afflicted in the 9th house. Afflicted in the 9th house, and Saturn is aspecting it, Mars is aspecting it from the 6th house and Saturn from the 3rd house. So the 7th lord afflicted in the 9th house, this could be related to your spouse, because the 12th house is also connected to our relationships. So this could be related to your spouse, this could be related to business partnerships, some kind of a frustration you may feel. If you plan on travel, because the 7th house, the 12th house, the 9th house, this also shows going away, travel. There may be something that frustrates you, that limits you, that stops you. The Lagnesh, the ascendant lord in the 6th house, putting in a lot of effort in the daily routine, but suddenly you will feel you got to, just pull the reins back, just stop for some time. With Mars going retrograde, a lot of hesitation also may be felt by you. And Jupiter now is going to be direct in your 2nd house. So your Artha trine is going to be very nicely activated with Jupiter now going direct there. So especially if you see the 2nd house and the 8th house, so the signs of Gemini and the sign of Sagittarius, and then you see the 11th house, Virgo, and the 5th house. So these all houses are connected to wealth and money. Very nicely activated, these 4 houses are. So if you're having dashas of these houses, something could come up for you. So that way it's looking fine. But some relationship issues, something related to your spouse, that could be the frustrating factor for you this month. Expenditure and travel also could be bothering you. Now I'm going to be talking about Sagittarius. For Sagittarius, Venus is the 6th lord and the 11th lord. And the 6th and the 11th lord is in the 8th house, aspected by Saturn from the 2nd house, and aspected by Mars from the 5th house. So the 6th and the 11th lord is, of course, these are the Upachaya houses. This planet is all about growth for you. So it's almost like where growth is concerned, where ambition is concerned, where your effort is concerned, where your network circles are concerned, there could be some vulnerability you feel there. Venus here in the 8th house is not the best place for Venus. So also this indicates that where relationships are concerned, there could be major issues for you. Jupiter is now direct in the ascendant, which is a blessing. The 1st, 7th, 5th and 9th house are very nicely activated. So any learning that you want to do, any dharmic activity that you want to do, any responsibilities that you want to fulfill, it's a great time for that. And the Kendra houses are very, very beautifully activated for you. In the 10th house you have Sun and Mercury. For status, for position, it's a good time. You may get some kind of a status change, some kind of a position, some empowerment that you may get, because Sun is also the 9th lord in the 10th house with the 10th lord. This is a Dharam Karam Adhipati Yoga, but it shows that there could be extra responsibility on you, that you have to do some dharmic activity. There could be some responsibility that you need to fulfill this month. So good month for Jupiter, other than relationships, other than some dampening, some frustration where your long-term ambitions are concerned. But generally it looks like a beautiful month for Sagittarius, because the Kendra house is all very, very nicely activated. Then I'm going to be talking about Capricorn. Venus is the 5th lord and the 10th lord. And Venus is in the 7th house, in the house of relationship. So the 5th lord in the 7th house, aspected by Saturn from the ascendant and aspected by Mars from the 4th house. Mars retrograde in the 4th house, Manglik Yoga. So here Mangal afflicting this Venus in the 7th house is definitely showing some issue where relationships are concerned, some strife, some stress with your partner, with your spouse. at home some disturbance. Mars retrograde in the 4th house, definitely disturbance at home. From the ascendant you have a Saturn retrograde aspecting this Venus. So if it's a love relationship and you're trying to settle down in some kind of a, you want to settle down and get married, some disturbance is going to be there. With children, again, some frustration can be there. Children may feel disturbed. Children may feel disturbed because of certain issues at home. So extra careful you should be about how your children are feeling this month, how your own work, your own career is looking. Your problems at home could be disturbing your work life. You could also be connecting with a teacher, with a guru, with your father. You could be doing very well in competition. If you've appeared for a competitive exam, or if you do have an exam, you're going to be doing very well. Luck is going to be very supportive for you. If you're looking for a service, even a government service, there too luck is looking very good for you, very, very supportive this month. So where your boss is concerned, a lot of communication is going to be there with your boss. So for Aquarius, Venus is the 4th lord, the 9th lord in the 6th house, aspected by Saturn from the 12th house, aspected by Mars from the 3rd house. Venus is the lord of the mother and the father for you. So in the 6th house, aspected by Mars, aspected by Saturn, some trouble could be seen at that side, in that front. So do take care of your parents, spend some time with them, take care of their health. Affliction can be seen there. This could also be related to property, to peace of mind, happiness, to certain education. You may feel disturbance in that way also. Venus is in a Maran Karka Sthan here. Since Venus signifies relationships for you, definitely there could be more problem, more stress where relationships are concerned. The 8th house is very nicely activated for you. Those people doing any research, investigations, occult, astrologers, this month is going to be great for you. Great for research, great for inheritances, great for getting money through any investments that you've done. Because Mercury is also the 5th lord, and now the 5th lord is exalted in the 8th house with the 7th lord. So any investments that you've done, long-term investments that you've done, your mutual funds or whatever are suddenly going to bounce back. And so that way this month is looking good for you. But where relationships, where family, where home, that is where the stress is going to be. And Mars is going to be retrograde. Mars is your 10th lord, is retrograde in the 3rd house. So any initiatives that you take, you may feel that you're not getting results, you're going to be pulled back. Whatever effort you're making, lots of obstacles that you're getting. So some obstacles, stalling, extra time in whatever initiatives you're doing, you got to put in a lot of effort, a lot of extra time. But having Mars in the 3rd house is great for initiatives. But Saturn in the 12th house, aspecting the 4th and the 9th lord, afflicting them, is not looking very good for your peace of mind and happiness. So now I'm going to be talking about Pisces. Venus, the 3rd lord and the 8th lord, is in the 5th house, afflicted by Mars from the 2nd house and Saturn from the 11th house. So in the 5th house, Venus afflicted for any relationships. If you're in a love relationship, or even with your children may be feeling low, they may be feeling very vulnerable. You got to give them a lot of confidence. You got to tell them it's okay, whatever results they get, whatever they don't need to worry about their results. Because sometimes nowadays there's so much pressure on children that children tend to feel very vulnerable, and they take a lot of wrong steps also sometimes. So where children is concerned, where your relationships, love relationships especially, you got to be extra careful. Give your partner, give your children a lot of confidence. I feel it's extremely important. The 8th lord is here in the 5th house, aspected by a lot of malefics. So yes, a lot of disturbances seen there. The 10th house, Jupiter, is now finally direct. So again, the Kendra house is very beautifully activated this month. In the 6th house, you have Sun and Mercury. So lots of interaction, lots of opening up with a huge new social circle. You would be interacting with new people, meeting new people, people that may going down the line even benefit you in some way. So here, like, we have a lot of planets very, very strongly placed in the Kendra. So for Pisces too, this is definitely looking like a good month. It's only some disturbance in the 5th house. So having the 8th lord and the 3rd lord in the 5th house is already not a very good sign, but having Mars and Saturn aspecting them makes it even a more sensitive issue. So you may also feel vulnerable where your relationships are concerned, where your children are concerned. So time to spend some time there with your children, with your partner. And for career, things are opening up. Things will open up now as Jupiter goes direct. And for long-term gains, for career, it's definitely looking better now every day for Pisces. It's just that for your children, you got to be little more connected to them. So that is all for now in this video. We'll be seeing you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.